Ryan just spent $6,720 to save $111 a month. Nathan thinks he made a mistake. Ryan thinks he made a smart move. They are both wrong to argue about it, because neither of them ran the one number that actually answers this question. It's called the break-even point. And it doesn't just apply to mortgages. It applies to every big purchase where you pay more today to pay less later. Buying points on a loan, paying for a gym membership instead of day passes, buying in bulk, upgrading to solar panels, even choosing a more expensive pair of shoes because they last longer. Every one of these decisions has a hidden crossover point where the upfront cost stops being a loss and starts becoming a win. Most people never calculate it. They just feel like they're saving money, or feel like they're wasting it. Feelings are not math. By the end of this video, you'll know the exact formula that tells you, in months or years, when a purchase pays for itself, and whether you'll actually stick around long enough to see that day. Ryan, why do you look so pleased with yourself? Because I just bought down my mortgage rate, paid $6,720 up front, and now I save $111 a month for the life of the loan. That's a good deal? Obviously. I'm saving money every single month starting today. This is where almost everyone stops thinking. Ryan sees a smaller number, his new monthly payment, and assumes smaller is automatically better. He never asks the only question that matters. How long until that $6,720 actually comes back to you? I haven't calculated that. This is the break-even rule. Anytime you pay more today to pay less later, there is a specific point in time where the upfront cost and the ongoing savings cross paths. Before that point, you are behind. After that point, you are ahead. The rule itself is almost embarrassingly simple. Break-even point equals the upfront cost divided by the ongoing savings. $6,720 divided by $111 a month. That's 60 months. 5 years. For 5 full years, Ryan is not saving money. He is simply paying back the $6,720 he already spent, $111 at a time. Only in year 6 does he start actually coming out ahead. Okay, fine. 5 years. I'll be in this house way longer than that. Will he? Here's the number that makes this rule dangerous instead of just interesting. Recent ATTOM data shows that U.S. homeowners who sold at the end of 2025 had owned their homes for an average of about 8.5 years. That sounds like plenty of time to clear a 5-year break-even point, but averages hide the real risk. Roughly 40% of homeowners move, sell, or refinance within the first 7 years of taking out a loan. Job relocations, growing families, divorce, downsizing, simply changing their minds. If Ryan is in that 40% and he moves or refinances in year 4, he never breaks even. He loses money on the deal outright. Every dollar of that $6,720 went nowhere. So the break-even number isn't the full answer. You also need to know the odds you'll actually stay long enough to reach it. Exactly. This is the 2-part test that turns break-even math from a nice idea into a genuinely useful decision-making tool. Part 1. Calculate the break-even point. Part 2. Honestly assess your probability of staying past it. A 5-year break-even point on something you're confident you'll keep for 15 years is an easy yes. The same 5-year break-even point on something you might abandon in 18 months is an easy no, no matter how good the monthly savings look on paper. Let's test this somewhere smaller. Not a house, something every day. Nathan is deciding between a day pass at his local gym, which costs $18 per visit, or an annual membership, which costs $600 for the year. No upfront enrollment fee. $600 divided by $18 a visit. That's 33 visits. If I go to the gym 33 times or more in the year, the membership wins. Below 33 visits, the day passes would have been cheaper. 33 visits sounds easy on paper. That's roughly 3 visits a month. But here's where the second part of the rule matters again. Not the math, the honesty. Research on gym behavior suggests that many people who join a gym don't sustain the usage they expect after the initial burst of motivation. In other words, the average buyer often imagines a future version of themselves that shows up more consistently than reality does. So statistically, most people who buy the annual membership lose money on it, even though it feels like the responsible, committed choice. This is exactly why break-even math without honest self-assessment is incomplete. The math said 33 visits. The math was correct. But most people never check their own real behavior against the number, and the gym industry profits enormously from that gap. This is not an accident. Annual memberships are priced assuming most buyers won't use them enough to break even. That's the business model. So the rule isn't just run the number. It's run the number. Then be brutally honest about whether you're the kind of person who follows through. Correct. And that honesty is worth more than any spreadsheet. Let's run it once more, somewhere even smaller. The grocery store. Big box stores sell everything in bulk because bulk pricing genuinely does save money per unit. That part is true. But break-even isn't only about price per unit. It's about whether you actually consume the product before it goes to waste, before your needs change, or before the money tied up in that bulk purchase could have been used elsewhere. A family of two buying a 30-pound bag of rice at bulk pricing saves real money per pound. But if that rice takes 18 months to use and a portion goes stale or gets thrown out before then, the savings evaporate. The same logic applies to warehouse club memberships. A membership fee may be small, but it still needs to be earned back through enough shopping trips and enough actual savings per trip. If you shop there rarely, the fee can eat up a big chunk of the discount. This rule is genuinely everywhere once you start looking for it. That's the point. It is not a mortgage rule or a gym rule or a grocery rule. It is a universal rule about time and money, and it applies to literally any decision where you trade a bigger cost now for a smaller cost repeated later. Here is the complete framework, the one you can apply to any purchase you're staring at right now. Step 1. Identify the upfront cost, the extra amount you're paying today that you wouldn't pay under the cheaper option. Step 2. Identify the ongoing savings, the amount you save per month, per use, or per unit, specifically because you paid the upfront cost. Step 3. Divide the upfront cost by the ongoing savings. That gives you the break-even point in months, years, or number of uses. Step 4, and this is the step almost everyone skips, honestly estimate your probability of staying past that break-even point. Not your intention, your actual realistic behavior based on your history and your circumstances. Step 5. Only proceed if the break-even point sits comfortably inside your realistic time horizon with room to spare. Not exactly matching it, comfortably inside it. That margin of safety matters because life doesn't move in straight lines. Jobs change. Plans change. A break-even point of 5 years against a plan to stay exactly 5 years is a coin flip. A break-even point of 5 years against a plan to stay 10 years is a much safer bet. What counts as a big purchase for this rule? Does it apply to a $15 decision the same way it applies to a mortgage? The rule scales. The stakes don't. Running this math on a $15 decision costs you 30 seconds and mostly doesn't matter either way. Running it on a $6,000 decision, a $20,000 decision, or a home purchase can be worth tens of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. The framework is universal. Where you choose to spend the mental energy calculating it is up to you. This exact rule, scaled up, is also how businesses and investors make some of their biggest decisions. And understanding it changes how you'll read financial news for the rest of your life. When a company decides whether to build a new factory, they run this same break-even formula. Upfront construction cost, divided by the additional profit that factory generates per year. If the factory costs $80 million to build and generates $10 million in additional annual profit, the break-even point is 8 years. The company then asks exactly the same second question you should ask about a gym membership. Will demand for this product realistically last past 8 years? If yes, Comfortably, the factory gets built. If the answer is uncertain, or the horizon is shorter than 8 years, the project gets shelved, no matter how attractive the annual profit number looks in isolation. So a family deciding whether to buy solar panels is running the identical calculation an energy company runs when deciding whether to build a power plant. Precisely the same math. Solar panels might cost $18,000 up front and save $150 a month on electricity. That's a 10-year break-even point. The household then has to ask honestly, will we own this specific house for more than 10 years? If yes, comfortably, solar makes financial sense. If the honest answer is probably not, the panels may never pay for themselves before the house is sold, and the next owner captures the remaining savings instead. This is not a coincidence. It is the same rule, wearing a different costume, at every scale of the economy. From a $15 gym day pass to an $80 million factory. Point below the line, meaning your break-even sits safely inside your time horizon, and the upfront cost builds value. Point above the line, and it drains you. Is there ever a case where the break-even math says no, but the purchase is still the right call? Yes. And this is the part most finance content skips because it's less satisfying than a clean formula. Break-even math measures money. It does not measure everything that matters. A generator that never technically breaks even on fuel savings might still be worth buying if it keeps your family safe during a power outage. A slightly more expensive car with better safety ratings might never break even in resale value, but the value it protects isn't purely financial. An annual gym membership you'll technically underuse might still be worth it if having already paid removes the mental friction that stops you from going at all. Some people genuinely perform better under a sunk cost nudge, even though on paper that's an irrational reason. So the rule tells you the financial answer. It doesn't tell you the whole answer. Correct. Use the break-even rule to see clearly. Then decide with the full picture. Money, probability, and the things money can't fully measure. The danger isn't in deciding to override the math sometimes. The danger is never running the math at all and mistaking a good feeling for a good decision. Here's what actually happened with Ryan's mortgage points. 5-year break-even, an average homeownership tenure of about 8.5 years, but a real 40% risk of moving or refinancing before year 7. Ryan ran the honest version of the math after this conversation. He plans to stay in this house for at least 10 years. It's near his parents. His kids are already enrolled in the local school district, and he has no job changes on the horizon. A 5-year break-even point sitting comfortably inside a realistic 10-year window is a genuinely good trade. Ryan's purchase, it turns out, was smart, but not because he felt confident. Because the numbers, once actually calculated, backed him up. And if I had made that same $6,720 bet with a house I only planned to keep for 3 years, you would have handed the bank a loss disguised as a discount. Same math. Same dollar amount, completely different outcome, because the only thing that changed was the honesty of the time horizon. That is the break-even rule. It is not about whether the upfront cost is big or small. It is about whether the math, run all the way through with an honest timeline, actually lands in your favor before life has a chance to interrupt it. Most people will watch this video, nod, and still make their next big purchase on a gut feeling next week. Don't be that person. Every video on this channel gives you the exact rule the wealthy quietly run in their heads before every major decision. The rules nobody hands you until it's already cost you money. Next video, we're breaking down the leverage rule, the exact line where debt stops draining you and starts building your wealth, and why most people are standing on the wrong side of it without knowing it. That video is already on the channel. Click it now.